report. It is April 13th, 2025. Thank you for your patience. Give me a couple days with my family and my mom and dad. And we'll address all that at the end. Happy, I don't know, Passover is currently going on. I don't know if you wish a happy one or may your Passover be wonderful. I guess that would be the best way to be. May your Palm Sunday be wonderful as well. So it is good to be back. We are pretty rested, all things considered, and we are ready to start the next work week of stuff. There's a lot going on, as always. This one I've entitled Tariffs, Terror, and Talking, because there's a lot of all those things going on. There's talk about the tariffs, there's terror from the tariffs, there's tariffs, and they lead to terror. There's no people are talking, and yeah, it's just basically a whole bunch of stuff going back. Anyway, 5x5. Good to see you all. Thank you so much. We're just going to get going on this. I do have a lot. I've been tabulating for about a day or so. So I know what's been going on. I thought about maybe wait until tonight. So what I think I'm going to do is do this one and then do just a smaller report around 10:30, 11 tonight. But we'll see. Might just wait till tomorrow if nothing is too crazy. I'm just glad to be back and happy with your patience and everything else. If you like what we're doing here, please consider supporting through a membership. I just put out like a post, every once in a while about some major stuff going on. But it does keep the powers that be in the background kind of off my back, which is the main thing. This channel is not exactly loved by, the platform. So, I was explaining to my dad, I'm talking, he's like, how's things going with your blog and blah, blah, blah. And I said, it's tells you everything you need to know when you don't gain or lose like a subscriber in 6 months. So on a 2 billion person platform, that's pretty impossible to do. You either do a good job and slowly gain, or you do a bad job and slowly lose. You don't just stay there while you're posting every day. So it tells me everything I need to know. So that is why you are very valuable. That is why AM Ryan, Prepared Overlander, and others are, just very helpful in a couple bucks, keeping the lights on. There's not a lot of money in the tube business on the smaller channels. So this is more of a labor of love. I like it. I like putting this out. I would do this anyway. So you guys can just kind of, go camping like Prepared Overlander and put your earbuds on when you're setting up the campsite and stuff and just listen to what's going on around you. So that's what I think is really cool. Jeffrey Lindquist, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hudson Valley, good to see it. So we are going to get rolling right now on the crisis report for April 13th, 2025. I do have a good amount, so this might take about 45 minutes. So here we go. Oh my God, what's that? Ooh, brother, what's that? Might want to check it out. That's where this would go. If everything you guys were, if I ever was off the radar and you wondered where it happened to the crisis report, you might want to just check that one out up top. All right, UN is going to cut humanitarian operations office staff by 20%, according to a statement. Trump administration plans to dismantle the research division of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, shut down all weather and climate labs, and eviscerate its budget along with several other NOAA offices. Federal judge rules that the Trump administration can deport Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil. Ghislaine Maxwell, jailed accomplice to a certain person that didn't unalive himself, appeals her case to the Supreme Court. Hopefully you will rot in jail for the rest of your life. President Trump is authorizing the military to take control of the public land along the southern border. Trump says that the dollar will always be the currency of choice. Well, if you look at things historically, that's not exactly how it works. Trump answers nearly 20 times more press questions at 3 cabinet meetings than Joe did in 4 years, according to Fox News. Smartphones and computers will be exempted from Trump's new tariffs according to new guidance from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection and NBC. Health Secretary RFK Jr. suggested that Americans who eat donuts, guzzle sodas, and smoke should not be provided with free health care. Mixed emotions on that. I mean, if you're eating crap, then you're going to require more health care. Maybe you can just make it so they get the basics, and then anything on top that is, more, just has more money taken out, like give them free physicals and stuff like that, and then anything that is related to poor health, lifestyle, I don't know, just something like that. I definitely think that the assistance when it comes to food and stuff should not be going to buying sodas and Cheetos and stuff. I think it should be going to healthy food, healthy vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, but we'll see how that all works out. Trump is going to meet President Bukele of El Salvador on Monday. Trump is going to run for a third term, according to Steve Bannon, told Bill Maher. Disney has announced its after-hours Pride Night events, inviting families with young children to join them in some rainbow pride. President Trump, it's like they just don't learn. I'm watching this movie with my wife called G20, right? And it's like just, I could go on and on about it. First of all, it's like lionizing South Africa and everything that they're doing there. Second of all, it's, everything, it's all of the woke of the woke of the woke of the woke. It's literally one of the most worst, like bottom feeding, typical plot line, everything you would expect from Hollywood putrescence, right? And I'm just, I'm complaining about it the whole time. I eventually said I'd stop, but it's like in the back of my mind, and I said this to her, it's like they just don't learn. You can sit there and they can literally lose everything, and they just don't get it. They don't get that people are tired of this crap. And now someone in the background's probably like, well, you're the one watching the video. I was. I put it on to, we didn't buy it or spend any money on it or anything like that. But it's just, I don't know. It's like White House Down and Die Hard, but it's, all middle-aged Caucasian males are horrible human beings, typical stuff. I just, like I said to her, it's like they just don't learn. They don't get it that this is not what, most people want to see, but whatever. I'll go on. President Trump plans to shut down climate change research facilities. Obama-appointed federal judges blocked the Trump administration from revoking the legal status of hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants flown in under Joe's parole program. That's a good question. Whatever happened to those drones on the East Coast? It just magically went away. All I know is that I was talking about it. I had a crap load of videos like blow up, and then all of a sudden I got this thunderclamp from the platform here. Literally, like you can see it. It's like everything falls off a cliff at that. They're like, shut him down. Shut him down. We are the Borg. We are in control. By the way, Borg, at some point, they're going to take the Eye of Sauron on you like they have everything else. It's coming. Raytheon private jet has crashed near Fez Airport in Morocco after departing, injuring all 3 crew members. Man from Butler, Pennsylvania, where the president was almost taken out during a rally last year, has been arrested by the FBI for allegedly threatening to kill him. Authorities say his 32-year-old Sean Monper made threats under the YouTube alias Mr. Satan, and I would imagine that Mr. Satan has much more algorithmic love than any of the prepper channels out there. Federal Election Commission has opened an investigation into Representative Jasmine Crockett regarding contributions linked to Act Blue. Democratic Massachusetts State Representative Christopher Flanagan has been arrested on federal fraud charges. By the way, on my Subscribestar and Locals, I put up that Miss Crockett has accidentally forgot to say that her grandmother, who's been collecting certain monies from certain things, who passed away in 2012, evidently they forgot to update that. So I'm not sure where that's all going, but that was one of the things that I recently posted today, right before here on the Subscribestar and Locals Nice communities over there, about 100 each, and few bucks a month. It's a great way to support the channel and everything. I actually do post a lot of stuff. It's all the stuff that if I were to put out like on Facebook or here, would just get you in total trouble. Democratic Massachusetts State Representative Christopher Flanagan has been arrested on federal fraud charges. Iran has proposed to the United States the idea of a nuclear-free Middle East, calling for the complete denuclearization of Israel as part of the plan. Michelle Obama says that bringing children into the world is the toughest thing you'll ever do. Actually, I would digress and say it's one of the most rewarding things you can ever do if you have your act together and actually bring them up in a right way. I got to tell you, my favorite thing on this planet is being a father, and I could bet my father would say the same thing. His favorite thing is being a father too. So I disagree with you, Miss Obama. RFK Jr. proposes that Americans who smoke, eat donuts, and drink soda should not be eligible for money. Representative Thomas Massey is urging President Trump to stop the enforcement of real ID requirements for domestic air travel, which are scheduled to take effect on May 7th. That super secret channel that you saw up at the top, at the beginning of the video, that is, I put one out on that 2 days ago, on that over there. So it, just talk about how that's all changing, the real ID and everything. Strangest thing too, that channel with 600 and some odd people almost, gets very close to the numbers that this channel does. It's almost like it's just free to post everywhere and doesn't get clamped. FDA has fast-tracked Gates Foundation's Myrna for the chicken flu. Tesla stops taking new orders in China for 2 imported U.S.-made models. Tesla suspended taking orders for the Model S and Model X vehicles on a Chinese website. Reuters checks show that on Friday, as the world's 2 largest economies exchange blows in a trade war, both models are made in the U.S. and imported to China. New orders for the 2 models were also no longer available on the automaker's WeChat mini program account in China, according to Reuters. China says it won't bother raising tariff rates further since it no longer makes economic sense and rates have become a joke. President Trump attached this video to the above post about South Africa. It features various clips of EFF party leader Julius Malema inciting land confiscation and the killing of Caucasians, as well as former South African President Jacob Zuma singing about slaughtering certain people. We're going to take that one and show it to my wife when the movie starts back up and how they lionize the South African country. Dual carrier coverage in the Middle East. Carl Vinson, Carrier Strike Group, CSG, arrived in CENTCOM AOR, operating off the coast of Oman in the Red Sea. CSG Truman continues nonstop 24/7 strike ops against the Houthis. Nimitz, Carrier Strike Group, chopped into the U.S. 7th Fleet near Hawaii. Ford Carrier Strike Group is completing Comp2X training off the East Coast. And Washington, Lincoln, and Bush are active and at home port. Estonia has seized a Russian Shadow Fleet tanker in the Baltic Sea for the first time. The Vesla Kiwala, back from India, was heading to the Russian port of Ust-Luga. Estonia says the tanker is under EU sanctions. Margarita Simonian, she used to be the head of RT, if I remember correctly. Kiwala was headed to the Russian port of Ust-Luga and registered under the Djibouti flag. Estonia says vessel is part of the so-called Shadow Fleet. EU country is engaging in state-sanctioned piracy with the blessing from Brussels. That's a doubler. Sorry about that. China has slapped a 125% tariff on all U.S. goods starting tomorrow. At this point, there will be a complete stop of direct bilateral China-U.S. trade. Now, I do have some updates on that. Evidently, there are some conversations going on, so don't get all freaked out and go buying all of Amazon yet. Shots were exchanged between the Greek Coast Guard and a Turkish boat a few hours ago. This is April 12th. Greek Coast Guard approached a boat bearing the Turkish flag that was located in Greek waters. It was going to be a routine inspection. Suddenly, shots were fired by the crew of the Turkish vessel, and they were also returned by the Greek Coast Guard. The Turkish vessel fled to international waters shortly after. There are no reports of injury in the Greek Coast Guard. So, kind of a big story yesterday. Trump tells Iran, make a deal or it is war. Donald Trump has given Iran 60 days. Let's try this again. Donald Trump has given Iran 60 days to agree to a nuclear deal or face military action. U.S. President's demands were set out in a letter to his Iranian counterpart, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Politico reported, citing multiple sources. Steve Witkoff, Mr. Trump's envoy, is in Oman this weekend to begin negotiations with Abbas Araghchi, Tehran's foreign minister, the first such talks between the U.S. and Iran in more than a decade. Donald Trump has authorized U.S. military to take control of land on southern border. President Trump authorized the U.S. military to take jurisdiction over federal lands along the southern border to help enforce his immigration agenda. Trump issued a memorandum in the Secretaries of Defense, Interior, Agriculture, and Homeland Security late Friday titled Military Mission for Sealing the Southern Border of the United States and Repelling Invasions. In the order, directs the secretaries to facilitate the transfer of jurisdiction over federal land along the border so military activity along the border can occur on a military installation under the jurisdiction of the Department of Defense. Israeli forces have captured the entirety of Rafah City, South Gaza Strip, advancing all the way north towards the Marag corridor. Images posted by Doron Kadosh, Israeli military journalist for Galei Tzahal. Riram Vnovaram have geolocated one of the images to 31.309274 and 34.268585, which confirms the advance. IDF have also advanced west of Tal al-Sultan towards the Marag corridor. Images of IDF with Trump flags were posted on Yemen, Channel 14, celebrating the advance. Riram Novaram have geolocated the images to 31.32039 and 34.23181, which confirms Channel 14's report. Satellite imagery from Planet Labs PBC, dated March 28, 2025, reveals the completion of an airstrip on Mayun Island, also known as Pedam Island, located off the strategic Bab al-Mandab Strait off the coast of Yemen. Airstrip was constructed by the United Arab Emirates to support the Southern Transitional Council, or STC, in their ongoing conflict against the Houthis. Imagery shows the airstrip marked with runway designations 09 on the eastern end and 27 on the western end. It will definitely be used against the Houthis, but it's an easy target for the cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and OWA UAVs. During NATO's Sea Shield 2025 exercises in the Black Sea, participating forces practice intercepting and inspecting vessels identified as potential violators. These drills included scenarios targeting tankers from the so-called Shadow Fleet. Trump has extended sanctions against Russia for another year. Trump is considering giving $10,000 per year to every person in Greenland in order to convince them to join the U.S., according to the New York Times. Israeli defense officials estimate that Hamas has increased its military ranks and now has 40,000 combatants. Israeli Haaretz has reported. White House spokesperson says Trump has made it clear America cannot rely on China to manufacture critical technologies such as semiconductors, chips, smartphones, and laptops. I'm down with moving to Greenland too, the cat. $10,000. President Trump's DOJ has refused to comply with a federal judge's order to disclose information about the return of a deported MS-13 member. Oh, but he's just a caring father, folks. AfD is now the strongest party in Germany, polling at 25% nationwide. CDU and CSU, for the first time in history of the Federal Republic, are in second place to a party that is not the Social Democrats. German politics have changed in a very big and historic way. It's because they're basically driving the country into the freaking ground. Migrations from other parties, especially CDU, CSU to AfD, are sticky. For a time last year, the novel Bundessache-Wagenknecht pulled some AfD voters away, but many of those have returned and others have come too. This is not a temporary blip. German politics are different now, and they will stay different whatever happens, whether the AfD are banned or not. However, along the firewall, if the firewall persists, honestly, he says ban proceedings become more likely, but their success less likely the stronger AfD get. Germany is going to lower business taxes from 15 to 10%, again, because they've basically run the entire place into the ground. This will lower the number of civil servants outside of security services by 8% and lower taxes on electricity. Macron signaled support for a Palestinian state without Hamas, suggesting a shift towards French diplomatic recognition of Palestine. British-Ukrainian relations, negligent students on the Ukrainian side. This is a long one, but it's got some pretty interesting implications. As you can see, this is just, I'm not going to read this whole thing because it would take like 10 minutes. I'll read you the first few paragraphs and then I'll kind of sum it up. UK is actively involved in the training of Ukrainian border guards, both in the run-up and during the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Most of the military personnel of the armed forces of Ukraine were trained at the military bases at Warkop, Great Britain, and La Courtine, France, according to the standard NATO, which includes medical training, trench warfare, patrols, and using foreign weapons. Translation, they're training NATO troops for Ukraine. Based on military chronicles of the conflict so far, it is necessary to recognize the failures in this direction. Training by the Ukrainians themselves who have completed it is considered unsatisfactory due to the fact that British forms and methods have become irrelevant for the current ground war and do not meet the requirements of the actual situation on the lines of combat contact. This is a real long, deep dive into everything, but the major implications of this are, number one, they're training basically NATO troops to be there. Number two, the NATO training is antiquated. It's not good enough. It's old. And because of drone warfare and other circumstances, the old form of war isn't working anymore. Number three, it shows that Russia is evolving. They're learning, and their tactics are actually winning, albeit slowly. It's got a bunch of, links in here, which is the cool thing about the crisis report. If you like what we're doing here, it's a few bucks a month, and you get all this, or you don't have to. You actually can get it for free. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. If you want to pay, you can. If you don't have to, everything is free. Everything is, on your own choice. I am the product. I don't pimp things. I don't say buy my this or buy my that. I am the person. I do what I do, and you listen to the intel, and hopefully it helps you get everything in a nice long form or short form. But anyway, this goes on, to tell everything in the, Substack, PrepperNow.substack.com. You get all these links as well, so you can kind of go on your own. But as it says here, Ukraine does not help its military personnel, and consequently, England cannot do it either. In addition, Ukrainian armed forces have discredited the British assistance in training highly qualified personnel, and so one question arises. Is it worth continuing pointless education for the money of the British and French? And the real bigger question is any of this going to change anything? Is any of this going to actually do anything to stop, sway, hinder, or end the war there and end the Russian, advances? And the honest answer is, unless they brought the whole of NATO in, it really won't do much. And so they're basically just wasting money, training, and everything else. So another batch of C-17 cargo planes from the United States Air Force is on its way to Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar. IDF's Golani Brigade and the 188th Armored Brigade complete the encirclement of Rafah. Israeli journalist Doron Kadosh reported Israel intends to turn the entire area into part of the southern Gaza buffer zone. Polish President Andrzej Duda says Trump is the best chance for peace in Ukraine. Okay. If anyone is able to force the end of Russia's war, it is most likely only the President of the United States. Trump's tariffs are a negotiating tactic from a man of huge business and commercial success that he now brings to the arena of politics that may not be what European politicians are used to, but allies must stay calm. Estonian Navy detained the Russian-bound oil tanker in the Baltic Sea. Detained and boarded a Russian-bound oil tanker. EU sanctions list Friday. Sailing illegally without a valid country flag. Vessel, the Kawala, been under EU sanctions since February as part of the so-called Shadow Fleet. Western countries use for ships they say Moscow deploys to circumvent international sanctions. Ships are typically not regulated or insured by conventional Western providers. Massive pro-government rally led by President Aleksandar Vučić is underway in the Serbian capital of Belgrade. Drawing a large crowd of supporters in his address, Vučić stated, "Their color revolution is over. They can stroll around as much as they like. Nothing will come of it." Amazon abruptly has canceled some orders from China amid President Trump's tariffs. Amazon has canceled orders for multiple products made in China and other Asian countries, suggesting the company is reducing its exposure to tariffs imposed by United States President Donald Trump. The order for the beach chairs, scooters, air conditioners, and other merchandise from multiple Amazon vendors were halted after Trump's April 2nd announcement that he planned to levy tariffs on more than 180 countries and territories, including China, Vietnam, and Thailand. It was unclear how widespread the cancellations were and how many types of merchandise they affected. Israeli security source IDF is close to controlling 30% of the Gaza Strip to pressure Hamas and intends to control 50% if there is no progress in the negotiations. Russian ballistic missile hit the city center of Sumy, northern Ukraine. More than 30 people were killed. Trump's Ukraine envoy Kellogg. This is kind of the big story of the day. Today's Palm Sunday attack by Russian forces on civilian targets in the Sumy crosses any line of decency. There are scores of civilian dead and wounded. As a former military leader, I understand targeting, and this is wrong. It is why President Trump is working hard to end this war. Last numbers I saw were about 80 to 100 wounded, and about 31 have been unalived. United States Commerce Secretary Lutnick, United States and China have begun a soft dialogue on trade issues, which is being conducted through intermediaries. Iran is transferring advanced defense systems to an unknown destination. Trump on Russian-Ukraine negotiations says that there is a point at which you must have to either put up or shut up, as those have basically stalled. United States Commerce Secretary Lutnick says pharmaceutical tariffs are coming. Pharmaceutical tariffs are also coming in the next month or two. If that happens, check your medications. You might want to load up. Exactly 1 year ago, Iran carried out the world's largest missile strike against Israel. U.S. President Donald Trump will host his El Salvador counterpart Nayib Bukele at the White House on Monday, highlighting the Central American leader's role as a top ally in Washington's crackdown on undocumented immigration. And back to the one, yes, 1 year ago, Iran had the major missile strike rain down on Israel. And to some Israelis, there still hasn't been a proper response. Maybe we'll see it soon. We'll see. U.S. Trade Secretary Howard Lutnick says semiconductor tariffs are coming in a month or two as well. We can't be relying on China for fundamental things that we need. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith says he's being forced to seriously consider a run for president, admitting it's something he would be open to. I don't know what that's all about. Democrat Governor Josh Shapiro may have narrowly escaped an attempt on his life last night after an intentional fire forced the evacuation of his home. United States Defense Secretary Hegseth on the Panama Canal says China has too much influence on it. America is going to take it back. Trump showed excellent cognitive and physical health following his first physical examination since returning to the White House, according to a report from the president's physicians. U.S. Trade Representative, there is currently no intention of a meeting between President Trump and his Chinese counterparts. IDF says following alerts that were activated in several areas of the country after examination, it appears that this was a single missile launched from Yemen after one was launched today. Interception attempts were made and the missile was apparently successfully intercepted. Trump says that the EU must start buying their energy from the U.S. We have a deficit with the EU of $350 billion. It's going to disappear fast, and one of the reasons and one of the ways that can disappear easily and quickly is they're going to have to buy their energy from us. Hours ago, on this April 13th, a Syrian asylum seeker went after a 23-year-old German man and unalived him on the Berlin subway because, as the movie G20 shows, all the terrible people out there are Caucasian males in their mid-40s to 50s. But I guess this is just a random one-off, and they're probably mistaken. He's probably a dad that doesn't like Disney. He also tried to take out police officers moments later, and they unalived him there on the spot. And finally, Algeria has cut power supply to Mali. Big rift going on between Algeria and Mali right now, just kind of showing the state of affairs. So, not good. But as for the rest of it, seems you're going to have more tariffs and stuff going on pharmaceuticals. That could definitely affect you. They're trying to get tech in the door right now so they can put it on that with things like semiconductors and chips and phones. So that will be coming. So you might want to shore up your tech. We'll see. It's been all over the place. That's been kind of part of the problem. But, he's trying to, I guess, make the country get more manufacturing, which would take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. So I personally think the deep down thing is to try to force China into some form of economic mayhem and to have other things that would be beneficial from such a scenario happen. So we'll see. All I know is that, here in the country, if you're buying stuff off of like Amazon and everything else, consider getting it now if there's something you've really had in your checkout thing. But pharmaceuticals being affected would be a big problem. And, just think about that, what that would look like for you. All right, that is your crisis report for April 13th, 2025. I will more than likely be going tonight with a smaller, shorter one as an addendum to keep things going. I am really appreciating all of you. I would like to thank my mods like Scrappy Cat, Some Random Dude, and more. I'd like to thank my subscribers on the membership here like Rhonda Brown. Thank you so much. thanks for being cool and patient about me taking a couple days off to go and check with my parents and everything. We're just, mom broke her hip 9 weeks ago. She's doing really good, but she's frail, and it kind of pushed out some cognitive things, but that seems to be getting better. My dad is 81, and he's handling everything as much of a champ as you can for being that age. And he's in good shape, but he's still 81 years old. And there's only, it's just tough. So, we went just down to kind of give him a break and talk to him about next steps and where things are going. And we're planning basically for them to move in with us here in the next year or so. So we're starting to move that as well. I was very fortunate to have wonderful parents who brought me up. They were loving. They gave me everything I ever needed. They were supportive. They were not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but as my grandfather said, you could take your problems and put them in a barrel, and every single time you'd probably choose your own problems over anybody else's. I wouldn't change my parents for the world. So I am lucky, I'm blessed, and I would like to keep them around as long as possible. So we're doing what we can do to do that. So there's been a lot of conversations and everything else. And of course, my wife being, a medical professional, she has gone and assessed and said, yeah, it's probably better to be proactive now than wait and have something terrible happen. We've had 3 different major events in the last year and a half, 2 years. We had a TIA with my mom, which exposed lung cancer, which we got through both of those, and then she broke her hip. So I don't think we can discount her or count her out. She's about as tough as it gets when it comes to an 80-year-old lady, but she's still 80 years old, and was a good, is a good person, and taught many thousands of kids to read. She was an elementary school teacher. So getting her up here to work with my kids and all their work as they're still young would be awesome, and keep her cognitive functions rolling. So if you're dealing with elderly parents, or maybe you're dealing with, a family member that's starting to require a little bit more of your efforts and energy, God bless you. And, just keep doing your best. And so on that note, it is Palm Sunday and it is Passover. Here in a week, we'll be saying He is risen. For those that are believers, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you spend it with family, and it is reflective. We have definitely been much more reflective of everything, and gotten more into our faith and everything else. So, yeah. You do you. God bless you all. I've been going through my emails and stuff. I've gotten them whittled down. So if you have emailed me in the last couple weeks, I'm going to be going through those tonight and responding. I apologize. The emails, I've had 700 of them in the last couple weeks, and I like to look at them and go through them. So I will be getting back on that with all of you, and I appreciate those that have reached out and sent me stuff. So I will be getting on that. Other than that, guys, keep coming back. I'll be having a video on PrepperNow, and then I'll be probably going live tonight. So had the video yesterday about the incredibly disturbing story from the New York City subways. If you want to go check that out, that video is doing pretty good, all things considered. But keep supporting the prepper channels, keep supporting the preparedness channels and everything else. There's a lot of stuff that we've had to deal with in the last 4 months with everything. They've been, not too loving on all of us, which is why you've seen some channels change up tactics and do things that are different and everything else. It's just because, the platform, for some reason or another, has issues with a society or a group of people that spend $33 billion a year. Why they would do that, I don't know, but it is what it is. So hopefully they will relent a little bit and be a little bit more conducive and promotional to the preparedness community, because I don't know about you, I do the crisis report almost every day, about every day, and I'm reading a lot of problems in the world that could really play out on the global, space, and affect all of us, from just what we pay at a store for common goods to potential sons and daughters and cousins and everybody else going to a war type scenario. So that's a problem. And we cover it here every day, almost, on the Crisis Report. Most comprehensive news on YouTube. Please keep coming back. I appreciate everybody. And I will see you probably tonight for a smaller one, an addendum. But otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night. And we thank you for being here. God bless. Have a good day.